Ladies and gentlemen and scholars alike, welcome to House of Stoics, where we delve into the wisdom of the ages and make it relevant for today's world. Today, we have something truly special in store for you, a modernized rendition of a timeless speech that continues to resonate through the centuries. Imagine Athens, a bustling city in ancient Greece, teeming with philosophers, poets, and thinkers. In the midst of this vibrant hub stands Socrates, a wise man on trial, facing his accusers and a jury that will decide his fate. His words, as powerful today as they were back then, have been carefully updated to connect with our contemporary minds. No need to struggle with ancient texts or outdated expressions. We've revitalized Socrates' profound insights, breaking down the barriers of time and language so that you can fully grasp and appreciate the wisdom he imparts. This is Socrates as you've never experienced him before, speaking directly to your heart and mind, challenging your beliefs and provoking deep thought. Prepare to be captivated. Socrates' words will inspire, challenge, and make you reflect on your own convictions. His powerful defense, filled with courage and integrity, will stir your soul. Today, we embark on an intellectual journey, uncovering the essence of a man who chose honesty over self-preservation and wisdom over conformity. So, fellow seekers of knowledge, let us embark on this extraordinary voyage together. Get ready to be enlightened, challenged, and inspired as we present the modernized words of Socrates, bringing his timeless wisdom directly to your ears. Immerse yourself in a captivating narrative that transcends time, reminding us of the eternal quest for knowledge and the pursuit of a life well lived. As I stood there, folks, listening to my accusers, I barely recognized myself in their stories. They spun a wild tale with hardly a word of truth. It was mind-blowing when they warned you not to be swayed by my eloquence. How ironic. Eloquence isn't my style unless they mean speaking the truth, in which case I'm guilty as charged. Their approach and mine couldn't be more different. They barely got a single fact right, but I promise you'll get the full story from me. No fancy speech, just plain words and ideas. At my age, I shouldn't be here trying to impress you with flowery words. Please, don't expect that from me. And if you hear familiar phrases, ones I've said in the marketplace or over a game of dice, don't be shocked. Remember, I'm over 70, and this is my first time in a courtroom. Pretend I'm a stranger in town. Wouldn't you forgive a newcomer for speaking in his own way? That seems fair to me. So, focus not on my style, but on whether I'm right. Let's aim for a fair verdict based on the truth. First, I'll address the long-standing charges against me, then the recent ones. Over the years, many have filled your ears with false accusations. These are the ones I fear more than my current accusers, because their stories have stuck with you since you were young and impressionable. They've painted me as a man who questions everything, disrespects the gods, and can convince you that black is white. These accusers worry me the most. They've spread rumors for years, and I never had the chance to defend myself. The toughest part is, I don't even know who they all are. I can't bring them here and cross-examine them. It's like shadowboxing. Let's agree that I have two types of accusers, the long-standing ones and the recent ones. I'll deal with the old charges first, since you've heard those for longer. So, let's get started. All right, folks, we've got a tough job ahead. I have to convince you that this negative image of me is false. I hope I can do that for both our sakes, and I hope you're willing to listen. I understand it's a big ask, but we'll see what happens. For now, I'll follow the rules and make my case. So, what exactly am I accused of? What's got people bad-mouthing me? In essence, they say Socrates is a bad influence, an inquisitive fellow poking around in things on earth and in heaven, turning bad arguments into good and teaching others to do the same. Sound familiar? Like that character in Aristophanes' comedy, this so-called Socrates who supposedly walks on air and talks nonsense about things I don't claim to know. Don't get me wrong. I respect those who study natural philosophy, but that's just not my scene. Many of you here can vouch for that. Ask your neighbors if you've ever heard me ramble on about such things. What do they say? You can take their word and judge the rest of these allegations. And about the rumors of me being a paid teacher, equally baseless. If someone is good at teaching and makes a living from it, I respect that. You've got folks like Gorgias, Prodicus, and Hippias, who travel city to city persuading youngsters to leave their free local teachers and pay them instead. They are happy to pay. There's even a philosopher from Paros, Evenus, living right here in Athens. I found out about him from Callias, a guy who spent a fortune on sophists. Knowing he has sons, I asked Callias, if your kids were horses or cows, it'd be easy to find a trainer to make them the best. But since they're human, who do you have in mind to mentor them? Someone who understands human and political virtue. He said, Evenus, who charges 5 mina, lucky Evenus, I thought. If he truly has such wisdom and charges so little. If I had that wisdom, I'd probably be full of myself. But truth is, I don't have that kind of knowledge. I bet one of you is thinking, why are we here, Socrates? What's the root of all these accusations? You must have done something out of the ordinary. Your reputation wouldn't be what it is if you were just like everyone else. So, tell us, what's the deal? Enlighten us, for we would prefer not to judge you hastily without understanding the truth. I see that as a fair question, and I'll try to clarify why I've earned this reputation for wisdom and why it's brought me such a nasty reputation. Stick with me here, even if I sound like I'm joking, because I promise you I'm speaking my truth. This wisdom I'm infamous for is a very human type of wisdom, nothing extraordinary. That's the extent of my wisdom. Anyone claiming I have some sort of divine wisdom is misrepresenting me. Now, Athens, I'd appreciate it if you didn't interrupt me, even if I sound a bit outrageous. The words I'm about to say aren't my own. I'll point you towards a more reliable source to vouch for my wisdom or lack thereof, the god of Delphi. You remember Chaerephon, right? Old friend of mine and of yours. He was in exile with you and came back with you. Chaerephon was known for jumping the gun, and one day he goes to Delphi, asks the oracle, and please, let me finish. He asks whether there's anyone wiser than me. The oracle replies, no man is wiser. Chaerephon isn't around anymore, but his brother, who's here today, can confirm this. Why am I bringing this up? To help explain why I've got such a bad rap. When I first heard the oracle's words, I was confused. I thought, what's the god getting at? I know I'm not wise, so how can I be the wisest? Gods don't lie. It's not in their nature. After much pondering, I decided to test the oracle's statement. If I found someone wiser than me, I could go back to the oracle with proof. So, I approached a well-respected politician. But the more we talked, the more I realized he wasn't as wise as he thought. When I pointed this out, he wasn't pleased, and neither were his supporters. As I walked away, I thought, sure, neither of us knows anything truly worthwhile, but at least I don't pretend to know what I don't. So in that respect, I've got one up on him. Then I went to another and another, each time finding the same thing. I knew I was making enemies, and it worried me, but I felt compelled to prioritize the word of the god. So I said to myself, I have to visit all those who are considered knowledgeable to figure out this oracle, and Athenians. I swear by the dog, I'm not joking, I swear, because I have to tell you the truth. My journey led me to a shocking realization. Those with the highest reputations were often the most ignorant, whereas those considered inferior were often wiser and more virtuous. After the politicians, I thought, if there's any place I'll be outsmarted, it's among the poets. I took some of their most complex verses and asked for explanations, thinking they'd teach me a thing or two. Can you believe it? It turns out most people here could have explained those poems better than the poets themselves. It hit me then. Poets create their poetry not out of wisdom, but thanks to their natural talent and inspiration. Just like the politicians, these poets, riding high on their fame, believed they were knowledgeable about all sorts of stuff, which wasn't the case. So I walked away from them too, thinking, I'm better off because at least I don't pretend to know what I don't. Then I turned to the artisans. I knew for sure I didn't know much, but these guys knew a lot of things I didn't, which made them wiser than me in that respect. But just like the poets, they had this misconception that their skills made them knowledgeable in all high matters. So I thought to myself, would I want their knowledge if it came with their ignorance? My answer was no, I was better off as I was. This pursuit of mine, trying to figure out the oracle, has earned me quite a lot of enemies and led to many misconceptions about me. People hear me questioning others and think I'm wise. But here's the truth, Athenians, only God is wise. When the oracle said I was the wisest, it was simply highlighting that human wisdom is worth almost nothing. So I go about questioning everyone who appears wise, and if they're not, I prove it, defending the oracle's words. This task takes up all my time, leaving me poor as a church mouse. On top of that, rich, idle, young men find it amusing to watch me grill these so-called wise men. They've picked up my methods, interrogating others and revealing their ignorance. But instead of blaming themselves, these wise men blame me, calling me a terrible influence on the youth. If someone asks them, what's so bad about Socrates? What does he do or teach? They can't answer. So they fall back on standard accusations against philosophers, claiming we discuss things in the clouds and below the earth, that we deny the gods and make bad arguments look good. They don't want to admit they've been outed for their ignorance. Now, because there are a lot of them, and they're ambitious, persuasive, and loud, they've filled your ears with baseless accusations against me. And that's why my three accusers, Meletus for the poets, Anytus for the craftsmen, and Lycan for the rhetoricians, are attacking me. Changing such deep-seated opinions won't happen overnight. I've told you the whole truth. I stand here, ready to enlighten the judges. Since you've taken the trouble to accuse me of corrupting the youth, you must surely know who's responsible for improving them, right? Speak up, Meletus. Why so silent? Isn't it shameful that you can't answer? This just proves my point. You really don't care. Come on, tell us who their improver is. The laws? No, Meletus, you misunderstand. I'm not asking about the laws. I want to know who, as a person, understands these laws best. That would be the judges, Socrates, Meletus responds. So, Meletus, are you saying these judges have the power to instruct and improve the youth? Absolutely, they do, he replies. All of them, or just some? All of them, Meletus insists. That's great news. So many improvers. What about the audience? Do they improve the youth as well? Yes, they do, he says. And the senators? Yes, the Senate has improved them too. So, the members of the citizen assembly, do they improve the youth or corrupt them? They improve them, he asserts. So, according to you, every Athenian contributes to bettering our youth, except for me. Is that your argument? Exactly. That's my claim, Meletus confirms. That's unfortunate for me if it's true. But let me ask you something. Consider horses. Is there one person who harms them while everyone else benefits them? Isn't it the opposite? Typically, one person or a few, like a trainer, does them good, while others who interact with them may actually cause harm. Isn't that true, Meletus? Indeed, it is. Meletus reluctantly agrees. Think about it. Our youth would be very fortunate if they only had one corrupter and everyone else as their improvers. Your lack of concern for our youth, Meletus, is evident from your disregard for the matters we're discussing here. Now, another question. What's better, to live among good citizens or bad ones? That's easy, good ones, Meletus responds. Good ones benefit their neighbors, while bad ones harm them, right? So, is there anyone who would rather be harmed than benefited by those around them? Answer honestly, Meletus. Certainly not, he admits. So, Meletus, when you accuse me of corrupting the youth, are you saying I'm doing this deliberately or by accident? Deliberately, he claims. But just now, you agreed that good people do good things to their neighbors and bad people do bad things. Here's something you seem to have figured out early in life, Meletus, something I, at my age, apparently failed to grasp. If I corrupt someone I live with, isn't it likely I'll be harmed by them in return? Yet here, you are saying that I knowingly do this. That's a claim you'll never make me believe. Either I'm not corrupting the youth, or if I am, it's unintentional. So either way, you're wrong. If it's unintentional, the law doesn't punish that. You should have pulled me aside, warned me. If you had, and I understood, I would have stopped whatever I was doing unintentionally. But you didn't want to teach me. You brought me to court, a place of punishment, not learning. I've demonstrated, fellow Athenians, that Meletus doesn't really care about this at all. But Meletus, I'd still like to understand how you think I'm corrupting the youth. Are you saying, as your accusation suggests, that I'm teaching them to reject the state-approved gods and embrace new divinities instead? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying, Meletus asserts. For the love of the gods, Meletus, clarify it for me in the court. I don't get it. Are you saying I believe in some gods, just not the ones approved by the city? Or are you saying I'm a total atheist and a teacher of atheism? I'm saying you're a complete atheist, he insists. That's quite the statement, Meletus. What makes you say that? Are you suggesting I don't believe in the divinity of the sun or the moon, beliefs held by everyone? He doesn't believe in them, judges. He claims the sun is stone and the moon is earth, Meletus accuses. Meletus, you're accusing me of believing in Anaxagoras' teachings, not mine. You underestimate the judges if you think they don't know those ideas are from Anaxagoras. The youth can hear those ideas at the theater for just a drachma. They could laugh at me if I claimed such absurdities. So, Meletus, do you really think I don't believe in any god? I swear by Zeus, you don't believe in any god, Meletus asserts. You're a liar, Meletus, and you don't even believe your own words. It seems to me, fellow Athenians, that Meletus is reckless and insolent, indicting me out of juvenile mischief. He's playing a riddle game, trying to trap me in a contradiction. He's saying I'm guilty of both believing and not believing in the gods. That's absurd. Join me, Athenians, in exposing Meletus's inconsistencies. Meletus, answer clearly without interrupting. Have you ever known someone who believes in human achievements but not human beings? Or in horsemanship but not in horses? Or in flute playing but not in flute players? Since you're not answering, I'll do it for you. No one. Now, can a person believe in spiritual and divine forces but not in spirits or demigods? Impossible. You claim in your indictment that I teach and believe in divine or spiritual agencies. So, if I believe in such entities, then I must believe in spirits or demigods, right? And what are these if not gods or the offspring of gods? Exactly. So here's your riddle unraveled. If demigods are gods, then claiming that I believe in them contradicts your accusation that I don't believe in gods. If demigods are the illegitimate offspring of gods, then their existence implies the existence of their parents. It's like affirming the existence of mules while denying horses and donkeys. This, Meletus, is nonsense. You've included it in your indictment because you had nothing real to accuse me of. No rational person will ever believe your claim that someone could believe in divine and superhuman things without believing in gods, demigods, and heroes. So here's my defense against Meletus's claims. I don't need to make a big scene about it, but as I've said before, I've got a lot of haters. If I go down, it won't be because of Meletus or Anytus, but because of the jealousy and negative chatter from society. We've seen it before. It's taken down a lot of great folks, and it'll probably continue to do so. If I'm the next casualty, I wouldn't be surprised. Now, some might ask, Socrates, aren't you ashamed your lifestyle is going to cut your life short? To that, I'd say they're missing the point. A person who's worth their salt shouldn't worry about the odds of dying or living. What matters is whether we're doing right or wrong, being good people or bad. By your logic, the heroes who fought and died in Troy, especially Achilles, must not have been worth much. Achilles didn't care about danger or death when he set out to kill Hector to avenge Patroclus. His mother, a goddess, even warned him, "Kill Hector and you're next," but did that stop him? No, he didn't care about death or danger. He cared about honor and revenge. He said, "Let me die next so I can avenge my friend. I'd rather die than live in shame." See, he knew that we should stand our ground in the face of danger and not let the fear of death or anything else intimidate us. When I served in Potidaea, Amphipolis, and Delium under generals you chose, I faced danger head-on. It would be strange now, when I believe my divine duty is to challenge myself and others philosophically, if I abandoned my post out of fear of death. It would be almost as if I were denying the existence of gods. The fear of death is often mistaken for wisdom, but it's just a pretense. Nobody knows what death truly holds. It might be the greatest good, not the terrible evil we fear. Isn't claiming knowledge of the unknown a kind of ignorance? I think that's where I might be wiser than others. I know I don't know much about what comes after death, but I know that doing wrong and disobeying superior moral authorities, whether they be gods or men, is bad. I won't choose an uncertain good over a certain evil. And so, my fellow citizens of Athens, here I stand before you, facing the consequences of my beliefs and teachings. Anytus, one of my accusers, has warned that if I were to escape capital punishment, your sons would be led astray, their lives ruined by the influence of my words. But I ask you, is it truly my words that pose a threat to the youth of this great city? If you were to release me on the condition that I cease my inquiries and philosophical speculations, and should I ever be caught engaging in such practices again, I would face death. I must respond with unwavering conviction. My dear Athenians, I hold deep respect and love for you, but my allegiance lies with a higher power, with God. As long as I have breath in my body, I shall continue to practice and teach philosophy, unyielding in my pursuit of wisdom and truth. I will not cease my questioning nor abandon the quest for a virtuous life, for that is the path that the divine compels me to follow. As the Athenian jury, confined by their judgment and public sentiment, declares the irrevocable sentence the death penalty for Socrates, he remains steadfast in his spirit, offering profound reflections on this somber verdict. Athenians, you won't gain much by silencing me, a philosopher. While it might harm your reputation, those who deride you will now say, "You've killed a wise man." I'm old, and death was always near. I'm speaking now to those who voted for my execution. You might think I was convicted because I couldn't articulate my thoughts well enough, and that if I'd begged and pleaded like others do, I could have swayed your opinion. But I argue that it wasn't a lack of words that led to this verdict. It was my unwillingness to resort to emotional manipulation to win your sympathy. I didn't want to indulge in theatrics or I believe it's beneath me to do something petty or common, even in the face of death. I'd rather die with dignity, expressing myself authentically, than live by pandering to your expectations. Sure, in war, or even in a situation like this, there are always ways to avoid death if you're willing to stoop low enough. But the real challenge isn't evading death. It's evading wrongdoing. Wrongdoing is always the fastest runner. I, as an old man, have been caught by death, while my accusers, now I'll face the death you've prescribed, and my accusers will face the consequences of their deeds. This seems fated and fair. I want to make a prediction, as it's said that the dying have prophetic powers. After my death, you, my executioners, will face a harsher punishment than the one you've imposed on me. You think by silencing me you're avoiding critique of your actions, but I assure you more critics will arise, and they'll be younger and even harsher. Remember, eliminating your critics isn't the way to improvement or redemption. The best way forward. Now, to those who would have acquitted me, I have some words before my departure. Death may not be the dreadful end we fear. It may be a doorway to something good. Think about it. Either death is like an undisturbed sleep, or it's a transition to another existence. If it's the former, then it's a peaceful rest, better than many nights we've experienced. If it's the latter, a journey to another world where all the greats reside. Wouldn't that be fantastic? Imagine conversing with the heroes of old, the pioneers of thought, or the unjustly punished like myself. The chance to explore their wisdom would be worth dying again and again. And what greater joy would there be than to continue the pursuit of truth, to decipher who's truly wise and who only pretends to be? Don't fear death, for no harm can come to a good person, neither in life nor after. I believe my death is not a random occurrence, but for the better. Hence, the gods didn't prevent it. Don't be mistaken. I hold no grudge against my accusers or judges. My only request, dear friends, when my sons grow up, if they seem more concerned about wealth and virtue, if they pretend to be someone they're not, then please correct them as I have done for you. If you do this, justice will have been served. My friends, the moment of parting has arrived. We each embark on our separate paths, I towards death and you towards life. The question of which is better remains a mystery known only to the divine. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the words of Socrates, one of history's most respected thinkers. We hope this modern version of his powerful speech has inspired you and sparked your thirst for knowledge. Socrates' unwavering commitment to truth, his relentless pursuit of wisdom, and his unyielding integrity serve as a timeless reminder for us all. In a world full of distractions and noise, his message encourages us to question, reflect, and seek deeper understanding. As we part ways, let's carry the spirit of Socrates with us. Embrace the importance of critical thinking, self-examination, and the pursuit of virtue. Challenge your own beliefs, engage in meaningful dialogue, and strive for a life of moral growth and personal integrity. Thank you for joining us on this enlightening journey through the mind of Socrates. Until we meet again for our next exploration of intellectual treasures from the past, may you find purpose and fulfillment on your own journey.